Friends and enemies, welcome to yet another edition of the mighty CBP on the, part of the CBP Media Network. And I'm Len the Legend, and today I'm going to be talking to Sly Goomba. And before we go any further to talk to him, I got a few things I got to just knock off my list of things to do. Number one, very quick, great day for Bitcoin. We'll talk about that today. But, like you have some Bitcoin, you want to start spending it. Where could you spend it? One place you could do it, you go easy DNS. And you could then, with that, because they accept Bitcoin over there, are very good that they do, you could buy domains over there. Say you want to buy a domain, or you want to renew a domain, move a domain over. This is the things that they could do for you. DNS hosting, that's their thing. Like they do this thing. But web hosting, email, like if you want to spin up your own website, you want to do your own email server, anything like that. Look, if you're in today's world, you're doing any business, you got to have a website. And these are the guys you want to be dealing with because they offer protection, privacy. Again, like I said, you can pay with Bitcoin. Lots of phishing going on these days. So if you are going to spin up a website, you want to make sure you are protected. Easy DNS offers something called Domain Sure, and they enable this real-time detection to see if there's any phishing attacks going on, and they can nab that in real time, take that stuff down. So any lookalike domains, they could nail those things to the cross. You're in good hands when you're dealing with them. EasyDNS has been in business for decades, since the late 90s. A lot of similar companies have come and gone. And the reason why EasyDNS remains standing is because the level of service they provide. For us, they're the best. And for you, you'll notice that they're the best too. Marketing team, they'll guide you through the process if you need any help whatsoever. So check them out, easydns.com, and mention our promo code CBP Media. With that, 50% will be taken off your initial purchase. So you might as well do a massive one at the get-go. Big purchase. Second sponsor, we have Bull Bitcoin. Look, the price of Bitcoin behind me is showing 65,000 and change. We haven't seen this number before today. Actually, we did briefly. Okay, but let's pretend we haven't. So, maybe people want to start selling their Bitcoin, and they could do that using Bull Bitcoin. You could buy Bitcoin. There's still people out there that want to buy it. I'm one of them. I'm always in a buying mood. I'm never in a selling mood. But you could do it with on-chain. You could do Lightning purchases. Last I checked, the fees are still really, really low. So I would suggest doing on-chain buys. Other things you could do with your Bitcoin, with the price of Bitcoin being so high, you could start spending it in two different ways. Number one, you could buy gift cards and start spending your Bitcoin in the real world, because you can't just go to, say, Starbucks and spend your Bitcoin. You got to have something in between to make that purchase worthwhile. And Bull Bitcoin, well, they'll sell you the gift card, and you could use your Bitcoin to buy that and start spending your Bitcoin like that. Another thing, you could start paying your bills, which is really cool because, let's be honest, all of us have bills to pay. Hopefully we're paying them on time. And if we are or we're not, either way, you could do these. You could pay these bills with your Bitcoin using Bull Bitcoin. Check them out. Open an account. If you use our link below and provide the necessary information, you get $21 added to your account. No questions asked. Last, we got Decentral Tech. Mining is a big thing, especially for plebs. We have the BitAx. We have the CBP branded BitAx coming out in not too distant future. It should be being shipped this month, November, from what I gather. Look, we got to take this mining initiative as plebs. We got to do it ourselves, and which means we have to get stuff like BitAxes, or maybe even get something like an S9 or S19 where you could actually mine from home, even using 110 volts, and that way you could heat your home. There's lots of different options that you could do quietly, efficiently, and you won't anger your family. Or if you want to anger your family, you can go to the full route and go ahead and get the one that hooks up to the 240 and go nuts. Either way, Decentral Tech has you covered. Check them out. They have lots of different options for you if you want to set up your home mining system. If it's going to be a single, multiple units, you want to fill your garage with them. Either way, check them out. They're wonderful, and they're Canadian based. So if you're in Canada, check them out. They'll be able to hook you up. So with that, I want to bring on Mr. Goomba to the channel. Hello, Goomba. How are you?
What's going on, Len? Excited to have a chat with you. We've had some back and forth on Twitter for a long time. Big fan of your show. You're in Joey's show, so it'll be good to have a little Bitcoin chat here. Thanks for having me on.
And until this time, I've been dealing with this Goomba. This is the only Goomba I've been talking to. So now I'm actually talking to you, the legitimate Goomba, rather than this stuffy here, which I don't want to downplay. I love the stuffy, my daughters. But
beautiful.
So yeah, I want to appreciate you coming on the show, and we'll talk about Bitcoin and a little bit else. You saw what happened with the price of Bitcoin. Are you excited with the recent development with Bitcoin and Trump?
I haven't seen whatever's happened today, but last night I was up partying with everybody else. I'm a Bitcoin idiot, so I stack all the time. I'll buy it when it's cheap or when it's expensive. And I do something called ass stacking. So if I see an all-time high, I'll just buy a little bit. So that way, whenever I talk to anybody about Bitcoin ever, they can be like, "Oh, well, it's so expensive. Should I buy this?" Like, fuck, I'm still buying, man. I just bought some at the top. I'll be buying the top forever, like that other fella says there. So it's all good.
Yeah, keep doing that. It's the way to go. And if you're going to DCA or do anything remotely close to that, I'd always recommend people to do some UTXO consolidations, especially if the fees are cheap like they are right now. It only makes sense because in the future, when fees go up and you have a haphazard way of dealing with your UTXOs right now, it may be very costly for you to start moving your Bitcoin. I'm not sure if you're big on that, if you're big on doing the consolidation stuff, but I know over here we are. So have you
Yeah,
consolidated your UTXOs?
I consolidate all the time, man. Like I usually like my usual buys. I buy standardly every 2 weeks, and it's a somewhat large amount, and then I'll get a couple of those going after a few months, and then I'll just slam it all together. But when I do stupid shit like buying $5 at a time, and then you, you look at that, that's what I did yesterday. I had $34 in my bank account, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm buying some sats." Oh shit! I don't know. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on here. I'll try and
Oh,
watch
you could
that. But
fucking swear all you want, brother. You just fucking
okay,
swear
right
away.
on. So I had $34. I'm like, I'm ass stacking. This is insane. So I bought it, and then I looked, and like in Canadian dollars, dude, it's not even 30,000 sats anymore. $34
Mm.
does not get you 30,000 sats. That's insane. So yeah, luckily fees are low. I just shuffled it over, and that's it. I have a what I do is I have a few wallets, and then I'll just take it all, move it to one, take it all, move it to another. It's really easy. The thing I think about consolidation is just like people make it sound like it's some crazy idea or something super technical. It's literally just take balance, full balance, move to a new wallet. That's it, and it's that easy. So yeah, if anybody's not doing that, you definitely should.
I guess you're using something like Sparrow to do that.
I use Blue Wallet, man. Simple. I
That
use
works.
Blue Wallet. I have a hardware wallet. I don't like shilling any products, so I'm not going to say what I have. But yeah, I use Blue Wallet on my phone. I have the Bull Bitcoin wallet on my phone. I have a handful of Lightning wallets on my phone. Sometimes I buy on Lightning from Bitcoin Whale, and then I'll have some sats on Lightning. I'll have some sats on a handful of wallets, and then yeah, you just move them around when you need to move them around.
Now, I want to talk about your podcast, which seems to be on
Okay.
hiatus for some reason. Why Bitcoin podcast? Tell me about this podcast. I know Joey's been on it years ago, but I want to
Sure.
hear. Yeah, what's up with the pod? Why is this on hiatus?
So my podcast is the best Bitcoin podcast that there's been. I'm a big fan of it. I listen to it all the time. Anybody that's listening to this that wants some absolute psychotic Bitcoiner chat, check out my show. But yeah, it went on hiatus, man. So I had a friend that was my co-host, like you and Joey, our little tag team duo there. I had my buddy Doug that was doing it with me for a while. Then he wanted to take a step back, focus on family, and just everything else. And so I did it by myself for a while, which was really nice. Got some great guests on. And then my life was taking a bit of a turn, going through some not ideal family situations. So that kind of took over. And then Bitcoin just kind of kept doing what Bitcoin was doing. And like right now, it's 5 o'clock my time. I've been working like a dog all day, and it's hard, man. Like you probably know this. If you want to produce a podcast that's quality, you got to put in the time. You got to put in the effort. And I could see that my quality was slacking. And I'm just like, I'm not going to put out shit for the sake of putting out shit. So hopefully here within the next couple of weeks or months, I'll get it whipped back up. I got some fire guests lined up that were supposed to come on, and then I just had to postpone. So it's been my last episode was
April.
um, April, the halving. I tried to get a handful of Bitcoin podcasters to do what I was going to call episode orange or project orange, where
Yeah.
podcasters just go on and kind of just do it by yourself and talk to your audience as if you were talking to somebody brand new to Bitcoin and just give them a standardized orange pill. And that's my most recent episode. I really like what I put together. Uh, I've had good and bad comments from it, depending on how the person feels about Bitcoin. But I think it's a cool idea because, the thing is, the halving is here, right? We're in 3.125 era. The pumps are beginning. And we know for sure that we're going to get the new crew of people soon. And they're going to be looking for the signal to figure out what's going on. And I want somebody, I did, you know what I want, Len? I want it to be so fucking easy for somebody to become a Bitcoiner that they have no excuse not to. Because when I came in at the end of 2020, I was looking at podcasts. I'm like, I listened to everything, and it seems pretty straightforward. Looking back, it was like 4 days in a row, no sleep, of me like, eyes glazed over, just going balls to the wall listening to podcasts. But now we've gotten to a point, and I want this to keep continuing, where somebody comes in new to Bitcoin, says, what's Bitcoin? What is this? And then, like, in 2 hours, they're like, oh shit, I'm all in. Let's fucking go. Fuck fiat, And it's getting easier and easier and easier given the content that's coming out. There's more and more good podcasts coming out. People are getting more and more succinct at how they want to say things, and it's going to be good, man. Bitcoin wins.
I'm wondering how many of those folks that just want to get into Bitcoin are buying an ETF, because that seems to be, if you want exposure to the price of Bitcoin, that's the path of least resistance. Now, it doesn't help you become a Bitcoiner, or it doesn't protect you from any problems moving forward should there be a collapse of the fiat system, but it seems like that's the one that people might choose as the least resistance, right? What do you think about that?
You're asking me about the ETFs and
Yeah,
what
like
I
the
feel
fact that
about
people are
them?
going to be
That's the
buying them,
question?
it seems like. I don't agree with them. I don't. I understand the purpose of them, but it seems like that's going to be the first way for people to come in. It's they'll look at that, they'll hear it from a friend, and they'll just buy the ETF and get exposure that way.
Yeah,
Somehow,
they're
if
gonna
it's
get
reverse,
fucking wrecked. They're gonna get
yeah,
wrecked. It's the stupidest shit you can do. There is Bitcoin, the Bitcoin network. What is its purpose? It's money that cannot be stolen from you. Full stop. If you buy anything else, it can be stolen from you. If you buy an ETF, somebody else is holding it. Somebody else can control it. It defeats the fucking purpose. Uh, yeah, if people are buying ETFs, they're fucking stupid. And that's my opinion. Bitcoin is so much more than its number go up. Number is going to go up regardless because fiat fails over time, right? So the question is, what do you want to buy? You want to buy Bitcoin. Why? Because it can't be stolen from you, because of, 21 million, because of absolute scarcity, because of all the fucking buzzwords that Bitcoiners say, man. Buy Bitcoin, understand how it works, use it on the Bitcoin network, fuck around with the Lightning Network a little bit if you want to, but if you're using Custodial Lightning, then same shit as an ETF. Buy Bitcoin. It's so simple. Download fucking Blue Wallet, full Bitcoin wallet. It's so easy. And then just buy it from any given exchange, or if you have a friend that mines. There's more and more people that are going to come out. There's more Bitcoiners. If somebody came up to me that's a new Bitcoiner and said, hey, can I just buy some from you? I'd be like, yes, sure. Give me cash. I'll send you sats. No problem. And that's going to happen more and more and more and more, right? If you buy an ETF, what are you doing? You're still in the fiat system. So what? Like, who gives a fuck?
100%. And the exposure you get is just in fiat dollars. It's not like you're getting Bitcoin in return. You can't redeem your
Well, look at
Bitcoin.
GBTC, man. Like, I had Foss on my show a while back, and it was when GB, what is it? Was it GBTC? Am I saying that right?
Is that the Grayscale trust
Yeah,
that
that's
they
the
have?
one. Yeah. So Foss was going on. He's like, oh, you can buy Bitcoin at a discount because it's cheaper if you buy GBTC. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. You're not buying Bitcoin. And then look what happens. It fucking blows up and people get wrecked. So everything fails around Bitcoin. Bitcoin just keeps marching forward. Buy real sats on the real Bitcoin network, have control of your keys, and then that's it. I'm pretty simple in that way.
Yeah, that's the way. I am 100% with you. The reality is, if you're going to store Bitcoin, it boils down to either 12 or 24 words. That's really all it is. And
Yep.
I'm old enough to remember we had phone numbers in our head when we used to call our friends or work, our home, wherever. And we had a bunch of numbers that we knew we could easily just rhyme them off like nothing. And
Mm-hmm.
same thing with words. That could be the same thing. Those 12 words or 24 words can be is easily remembered like telephone numbers in the past. And if you put a level of importance, which you should, for these type of words, you will easily remember it and you will not forget it. And you might want to play a rhyme, or you may want to do something every day to make sure that you don't forget it. But it's possible. It's not the end of the world. And considering how much wealth you could store in Bitcoin, it makes so much sense to do so.
Have
I
you
just
actually memorized? Have you memorized yours? I'll be honest, I haven't memorized mine. I've tried to a few times, but I have it locked up in a safe place where nobody knows where it is. I got it on steel so I can go grab it if I need be, but it's not in my head. But I'm also not good with memorization. I know that's a lame excuse. I got to get my shit together. But have you done that? Like your
yeah.
main stack, you could just rhyme it off and open it up whenever you want if you were taken off to a faraway place.
I have multiple wall, and only one of them do I have is memorized. I can't do
Yeah,
anything more
yeah,
than
yeah,
that.
yeah.
It took a long time to get to this, but I have that. It's there, and so I could easily recall it if need be. So yeah, and let's be honest, I'm just regular Joe Blow, and if I could remember this stuff, anybody could. And 12 words is only half of 24, so is it that difficult to remember 12 consecutive words? I would say no, and anybody could
No,
do
you're
it.
right.
Everybody should do it. And like you say, I mean, there's lots of different options you could do to easily onboard, like getting blue walled and or stuff like that. People should eventually transition to something more stable, secure. Blue wall is
What do
great
you have against
for
Blue Wallet?
it's a hot wallet. It's on your phone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
easy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's great and all, but I wouldn't store vast amount of wealth in there. That would just my personal opinion.
No, yeah, it's
Small
just an
amounts,
easy onboarding thing. Yeah.
yeah, and all the more power. $100, $200, whatever. Yeah, but the broken rulers saying that you're a ledger maxi things.
Yeah, fuck you, buddy. No, no, I'm not.
So yeah, download ledger. Anybody? Okay, I'll go back. If somebody has nothing, they're leaving on an exchange, which a lot of people are, and we'll touch on that in a second. I think ledger's a better option than leaving on an exchange, but it's still just a step in the right direction. But if you're going to go that direction, run the extra mile and get something better than a ledger. That's my opinion. But with respect to people leaving it on the exchange, I was talking today with a bunch of folks, and I was hypothesizing why the fees are so low. Look, the price of Bitcoin's high. We have Trump that's elected. We have so much interest in Bitcoin. It's being talked about in mainstream media. When you look at any news station, they bring up the price of Bitcoin. But yet, even with all this interest, the fees are low, and it just doesn't make sense to me. But somebody clued in, the reason why fees are so low is that people are maybe buying, but they're not taking it off the exchange. They're just leaving it on there. Do you agree with that?
I mean, I don't know, man. I think that's the fear that people have. It's like me and you said, we buy what once every 2 weeks, roughly, except for those random smash buys. So I'm clogging up the network once every 2 weeks. Like that's my main transaction. So I don't need to use the network that often. And the majority of Bitcoin users are probably doing that. Fact of the matter is, not very many people are using Bitcoin to as a medium of exchange, right? Like, not very many people are just using it to buy shit, and those that are, I think for the most part, are using Lightning anyways. So I don't know. I think we can see fees low for a long, long, long time. I think I'm on my own in that. I think everybody's really scared. Oh, it's going to go up crazy once nation states start moving stats around. But like, if you look at how, what is it, Swift? When you look at the different countries that settle with each other, they only do it every 2 weeks. So, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm ignorant, but I feel like there's not that many transactions that need to happen that are going to be worth multi-million or multi-billion-dollar transactions. It's like you do one every 2 weeks, and then it costs you, even if it costs you 100 sats per V byte, it's not a big deal, right?
The problem is when it comes time, when we get to that point where you have large amount of Bitcoin in terms of dollars moving from one place to another, they're going to easily outbid anybody else. If they want to pay 10,000 sats per V byte, they could do that because they're sending a heck of a lot of Bitcoin. And by comparison, that 10,000 not very much. But for somebody like you and I, that, I'm not exactly sure how much Bitcoin you have. I'm not going to ask. But if you are a whole coiner and you have a few coins to yourself, you start moving shit around a few times. And if it's very costly, it's going to really bite into your overall stack. So I'm looking at that. Somebody could easily outbid somebody else, and it won't make a world of difference to them just because of the amount of Bitcoin they have. Block space is scarce. We're not there yet, but it's indeed scarce. We have to get better somehow. at compressing the data on there. I'm not sure if it can be compressed any further, but just efficiencies I hope are found moving forward, because if not, on-chain is going to be really expensive in a not too distant future.
Len,
So I'm the opposite side of the fence of you.
it boils down to supply and demand, basic economics. If fees are high, people will not buy, and then fees go down, and then fees go down, and people use the network, and then fees go high. It's going to be a wave of up and down for the entirety of the Bitcoin life cycle. As you as a Bitcoiner, you're going to see, like, if I'm like you said, when do you consolidate? You consolidate when fees are low. When are they low? After they've been high for a while. So you let people fuck around, do their shit with their high fees, then they're going to be done. It's not like eventually people run out of sats to make transactions. It seems pretty simple to me. It's just supply and demand. I mean, if I look at the network and the fees are too high, I just won't send a transaction. It's that simple. They're not going to be high forever because eventually
No,
the people that need to make the transactions are going to be done. And then they'll be like, okay, I don't have to do anything for another 2 weeks.
and that's a time when it's high. It's a good time, and you should be using Lightning at that time. In fact, people should be going to
Exactly.
Lightning as much as possible. Lightning does have its issues. That's, let's not beat around the bush. It's not a perfect solution, but for right now, it works pretty good until it doesn't. But I would suggest people, if they want to dive into it, Custodial Lightning is, as you mentioned, is dog shit. If you can, it's difficult to do, but if you could run your own node, that's the way to do it. I mean, I'm not sure if you also have delved into that. Have you touched on running your own Lightning node in the past?
No, man, I haven't done that yet. I've tried pretty much every Lightning wallet that's come out. I got majorly jaded from Moon Wallet, MUUN. That was
Yeah, I
all
remember
the
that.
rage back in the day, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden fees went high and, the mask came off. It's like, oh, this is just on-chain transactions, you motherfuckers. So once I realized that, I was like, okay, well, this is stupid. Wallet is Satoshi is custodial. Blink Wallet is custodial. I had a chat with, I think it's Andrew. Andrew began on my show. He's part of the Blink Wallet guy team, and he kind of explained to me why they think it works. And you know what? I'm kind of starting to fall on that line of if it's just $20 here and there, fuck it, just use custodial because it works, it's easy. Or just use cash. Like I don't know, man. I go so back and forth with this shit because the reason I'm in Bitcoin is because Bitcoin became easy to use, right? So I hold my own sats on my own wallet. It was fucking easy. I was too stupid in 2012. I was too stupid in 2014 and 2016. Now it's so easy. It's so easy to whip up your own Bitcoin wallet and hold your own sats. And I think we might just still be early to custodial Lightning, or if some other sort of layer comes out, maybe that is better than Lightning. I can't foresee that happening, but it's an option, right? We're just early. Like even Phoenix, I tried Phoenix for a while. It still doesn't really work properly. You got to set up channels. You got to
Yes.
send a certain amount of sats. So it's just early. The guys that are smart that can set up their own nodes, they're going to benefit from it because they're able to use it and they know how to do it. And the idiots like me that are just waiting for shit to get so simple that we barely have to think, and yet still we get to use this awesome uh, money network. We'll just wait till it gets easier. And it's not a complete necessity Lightning yet. Like Bitcoin is a necessity for everyone. The money is failing. You need Bitcoin. Lightning is just a way to transfer sats quickly, cheaply, easily. And we don't need that yet. It's cool as fuck. Like, don't get me wrong. I enjoy using it, but it's not a need. It's still a want. Bitcoin is a need. Like you need to have Bitcoin because your local currency is failing.
Yeah, and that functions fine as a store of value. But then when you have to go to the medium of exchange, then it would become problematic to constantly use on chain for that. The amount of people using Bitcoin right now that are, let's go even further back. The amount of people that have got Bitcoin, that have bought it and you just are hodling it, it's a small percentage of the overall population. I would guess maybe 1 out of 100 people, maybe in Canada or the United
It's
States
way
have.
less than that, man. It's got to be
Yeah.
way less.
And so like once things ramp up and people start buying, hodling it, and maybe you can start transacting. That on chain is just going to go absolutely bonkers, and that's when the competition comes in, as you mentioned, and you have to find a time to spend it when it's cheap. But some people just don't have the opportunity to wait. They have to spend right away. They have to pay a bill. They have to buy something. That's got to leave your wallet somehow. And Lightning, that's where hopefully it will, or some alternative to it, will pick up the tabs. Lightning, one thing about it, the fact that it works when it works, there's not much development going on in it comparatively to, I find, other layer 2s, because other layer 2s, especially like they're all, I mean, the other ones are all custodial. There's an incentive, there's a financial incentive for them to develop it. Lightning, there is no financial incentive. What are you going to get from Lightning? Routing sats? You get fuck all from that. So Lightning, it needs development, but there's not much incentive to do it, which is too bad. That's just the reality of it. Yeah. But
the fact of the matter isn't. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Well, I just think this is kind of a controversial take, but the fact of the matter is that most people still accept Canadian dollars or US dollars. So if you need to buy something and you're an all-in Bitcoiner like me, you can just ask the person what kind of money they use. And if they say, I only take Canadian dollars, you can just very easily take your real money, turn it into their shitty currency, and give it to them. And it functions fine that way.
And in terms of orange pilling friends and family, what's your record like? Are you pretty good at that, or is it
What's my record on orange pilling? I'm the worst orange piller in the world, man. I made.
Come on, you have years of experience to tap into now. You could have perfected your methods, right?
Yeah, the question you have to ask yourself is, why are you orange pilling, right? So when I first got into Bitcoin, I was insane. I thought the world was going to explode. I needed to warn everybody, watch out for the coming apocalypse. And that didn't work out too well, and the apocalypse didn't really happen. I mean, subjective. It's kind of a shit show here now. But then you're just like, okay, well, why do I want to orange pill this person? Well, I want to help them. I want them to have a better life. So when you come at it from that angle, it's a lot easier. And the other thing is, this is what I've noticed, Len. I don't know if you've noticed this. The people that I've orange pilled that it's actually clicked for very hard are the people that need Bitcoin the least. Ever since moving to Alberta, I've met a lot of guys that are like farmers, have land, are self-sovereign, all these things. And I say, oh, you should have Bitcoin. You'd like it. And they're like, oh, yeah, I don't really need it. And I say, yeah, you're kind of right. But they look into it and they're like, okay, this shit's fucking awesome. I'm going to get in. And the people that are working paycheck to paycheck, the young fathers that have a kid that are struggling to get by, that are getting absolutely stolen from the government, from the money printing, they can't afford, they can't afford the dollars to put into Bitcoin because they have zero savings. And then two, they can't afford the time because they're so overworked and overbooked and overstressed that they have no incentive to even learn about it, that's kind of blackfillish, but it's very sad. I've seen that a lot. So you have to find people that are open and willing, and that those type of people are going down. It's really sad. Like, we see more and more people crying in their car because they can't afford milk and groceries. Every time I go to the grocery store, you see somebody crying because fucking milk is $7 for a jug or whatever it is. It's brutal out there. It's so bad how bad the currency's failing, and people literally can't take. And that's bringing it back to my episode Orange, right? It's like, we got to make this so fucking simple that people can put in 1 hour and all of a sudden they're fucking all in Bitcoin, even if they have only $100 savings, or even if they have zero savings and $20,000 of credit card debt. They put up 2 middle fingers to the credit card debt. They fuck that, start stacking, and that's it. Like, that's the reality of the situation we're in now. There's no more time to fuck around. People are going to be so broke. It's going to be so bad, and people need Bitcoin. And it's either, learn about it, figure it out, or don't, and just end up, on the MAID program or whatever.
And as things get continually worse for people, the only thing that's going to be there for them is the safety net of the government.
Exactly. Well, that's the other thing.
And there's not enough to go around, the sad reality, but that's what's going to happen is there's going to be something out there, some sort of program just to provide something for them so they're not eating grass. They're actually eating legitimate food, or at least highly processed food that they could survive another day. But the government's going to have to step in and help them out. And that's going to be really costly for everybody as a whole, because there's no way that there could be some large scale programs that could help people with maintaining some sort of semblance of fiscal balance. You're going to have to wreck the Canadian dollar to do that. And again, once that continues to happen, then you have more people looking to some alternatives, and they look at Bitcoin. It's sitting there. They hear about it. Like for me, I could tell you, like people do come to me every so often and ask about Bitcoin, and I happily will chat with them as long as I can to try to inform them all the greatness of it, the fundamentals, why I think it's the best thing. But that's the thing. People they're hearing it, they're seeing it, and then they're asking somebody about it. That's I find is the most promising thing. I know that there's a lot of people getting wrecked, but there's a lot of people that are curious out there, and they're asking the right questions. You just have to ask the right person. I hope they don't ask scammers out there, because there's a lot, right? Like you gotta admit, there's a lot of people that are trying to scam, trying to sell some shitty project or some centralized crap.
Do you know my this is, I won't tell my whole Bitcoin fucking story, but that was very part of my beginning. I was like looking into Bitcoin. I had not a friend, but like a friend of a friend, call it an acquaintance, that I knew was sort of into Bitcoin. So I reached out. I was like, hey, can we sit down? Can you tell me about this Bitcoin thing? And I got together with them for dinner. We chatted about Bitcoin for a bit. And then, half an hour goes by and they started just shilling me this absolute shitcoin. And at the time, I knew nothing. I didn't even know shitcoins existed. I didn't know anything. They're just like, well, there's Bitcoin, but there's also, this other coin. I was like, whoa, there's two? That's crazy. And you have the new one? I can't believe it. And luckily, my wife at the time, she's like, I'm pretty sure those guys are fucking trying to scam me. I was like, wait a second. Look at the website. I'm like, yeah, this looks like fucking bullshit. So I was lucky enough to avoid the reckoning, and it's really sad that people are doing that. But it just becomes more and more obvious too. I want to touch on what you said about the government helping people, because this is another kind of sick part of that. I was talking to my sister about Bitcoin a few years back, and talking about liberalism and government help and all this shit. And my mom raised me and my sister by herself. She was a single mother that did take help from the government. We had government housing and all that shit. So my sister looked at me. She's like, "How can you think this is a bad idea when this is how you lived your life?" And that's the tricky part. The thing is that communism works for a little while until you run out of other people's money. And that's what people don't understand is like, yeah, all these awesome social programs, for quote unquote free healthcare and free food and free everything. It's like, yeah, it's great, but nothing's free. And then people turn around and they say, why is everything so expensive? So they need to ask the government for more money and more money and more money. It's just this terrible snowball that unravels. And people are when you become so dependent on the government for your livelihood because there's no other options, that's it's very scary. And we've reached that point now. I think so, right? Like, what did Trudeau put in $10 a day daycare fucking price controls? You know how shit everything's gonna go because of that. It's so bad, man. Like, it's scary how little people understand about the money that they use. And I'm obviously a prime example. I didn't know shit until I took a second to look into it. And I hope more people do. And I hope more people ask questions, like you say. I think people will get more curious, especially when we see this next round of inflation hit. Like, Canada's already cut rates 50 bips, and they're going to do it again. Like, our Canadian dollar is so wrecked. We're at 100K, 100,000 plus Canadian dollars for one Bitcoin. Like, how can somebody see that and not realize that the Canadian dollar is dead? It's 100,000 Canadian dollars for one Bitcoin, and you think that it's still a good idea to hold Canadian dollars? Or like, how stupid are you, right? So I don't know. And rant. Sorry, I can
No,
kind of.
no, and I love the rant. I don't think. I mean, anybody that has cash in abundance, they're not hanging on in cash. They're putting it
Mhm.
into some other system, either they're buying precious metals or they're buying equities, and they're using that as a way to help ensure that their dollars don't get melted away like a ice cube. So they're working a second job, so to speak, to try to find the right place to park their money so they can still have access to it later on. Which if you think about it, it's kind of stupid in a way. It shouldn't be like that. It should be the value of the dollar should maintain itself over a long period of time. But as you mentioned, it's if they have the ability to go into debt and with any type of program they want to fund, that is not free. There's a cost to that, and usually the cost is future generations pay for that.
Mhm.
So
The,
that's
the the
yeah,
the the people I care most about are the people that are just really trying to get by, and they're saving like $5 a week or something, and they get to like $100 in their piggy bank, or maybe something crazy like they have $1,000 in their piggy bank, and they don't realize that next year it's gonna buy them fuck all. Like, it's so sad. It's really
Even
sad.
Boomer's saying in the chat, he's saying the next wave of inflation is coming. It's going to be brutal, 100%. Whenever that happens, we can't predict it when it's going to happen, but when it does, it makes every crisis that comes up, every financial crisis that comes up, makes the last one seem smaller. 2008 at the time was like, this is humongous, right? Like, Occupy Wall Street was going on. We all this shit going on in 2008. But by comparison, what happened just 4 years ago when they closed the economy, it seems like small potatoes. And then I'm
It was
afraid,
$700 billion, Len. $700 billion to solve the great financial crisis. They
yeah,
they they spend $700 billion in a couple weeks now, almost every other week.
that
I
used
don't
to
know if
get
you've seen the
you.
stats. We're pretty close to 36 trillion for the
Yeah,
American dollar. I don't
yeah.
know if we hit it today or not, but it's very close.
We lose sight of how big a trillion is. You have to go back and say, wow, a million's a lot. A million of anything is a lot. A billion of anything, which is 1,000 times a million, is a heck of a lot. And then a trillion, which is 1,000 times a billion, is humongous amount. Like we lose the scope of how large a trillion is because we've been dealing it for so long. And I don't know what's next. Gajillion? Like I have no idea what the fuck's after trillion, but we're gonna
I
get there soon, right? Just
It's
it's a matter of
quadrillion,
time.
man, quadrillion. Yeah,
Quadrillion, that's it, quadrillion. Fuck, I should have known that. But yeah, quadrillion. Like,
when I was doing my show, I was sponsored by River for a little while, and Alex Leishman, or one of his crew members, sent me some swag, and in that was one of the Zimbabwe notes, and so I have 100 trillion Zimbabwe dollars, which I've shown to a few people to try and explain, and you still kind of like I try and explain it like this is $100 trillion. This is what people are so excited to become a millionaire or a billionaire. Eventually, you become a trillionaire, but it's fucking worthless. So it's still hard to explain to people that value is more important than the number. But I don't know. Eventually, people figure it
they
out.
gotta live it, and they kind of are right now. Is in the past when you used to go to say Walmart or wherever to fill up your grocery cart. I mean, I'm gonna throw out a number. It may be factual or not, but it may used to cost you a couple $100 to fill it up, and you're good for a week or two. Now it's twice or three times that amount, and it was just in a very short period of time. In the last 4 years, this multiplication came into effect. So it's not like this is over a long period of time. People can notice like shit in a very short period of time. I can't buy the same amount I could buy before. And it's not just groceries. The same thing applies to people that's looking to buy a car. You can't buy a car in Canada for under $30,000. In the
Hmm.
past, I mean, I'm not too long ago, you could buy a car for a little bit over 10K in the 90s, right? Like, and that's not like ancient histories, but fuck, man, like it just goes to show you that when you have more dollars chasing the same good, the price of that's going to go up, and it happened in Zimbabwe. Like it's too bad because people aren't ready for it. They're not preparing for it, and they either just don't have the time to learn or they're just unwilling for whatever reason. And it's right there in front of them. Like just buy a hard asset like Bitcoin, stack it if you can.
Mm,
Run up your credit cards and,
just
and just buy Bitcoin and like you say, give two middle fingers to them. After lots of options. But I got a question for you though. I want to just change focus here.
okay.
Would you get a PlayStation 5 at 300K?
Yeah, I'm gonna buy a PlayStation 5 at 300K. That's
I
that is
see.
100%.
And so why? Because I have a PS5 and I can tell you it's meh at best.
Okay, so Len, I was when I was my fiat self before I became my Bitcoin self. I was a very, very hardcore gamer. I spent all my money on video games. I owned all the systems, and I enjoy it, man. I enjoy playing games. I became a Bitcoiner. I sold everything. I sold my fucking gaming chair and all my game. Like I sold fucking everything, and I have not bought myself anything for. I'm very close to my 4 year anniversary here. I became like my Bitcoin. I wonder what the word is. This might annoy some people. Maybe my Bitcoin baptism when I feel like I became a Bitcoiner was
Mhm.
December of 2020. So I'm very close to my 4 years, and I've bought fuck all for myself except for Sats. And I want to buy a PS5. And right now, PS5 costs the new PS5 Pro. They launched it, and it's going to be 1.2 million Sats, right? So I said that's too expensive. When it's 200,000 Sats, that's a deal. So if you price it in Bitcoin, I just price it in Bitcoin. 1.2 million Sats is shitty, but 200K for a PS5 new one, I'll take that deal. I got some games I want to play. I haven't played any games in a while. You got to enjoy your life, man. Who was I? I was listening to some pod. Um, I think it was Why Are We Bullish, and BitAx and Kaysen were on there. It was fucking awesome. They're just like, yeah, like money is meant to improve your life so that you can enjoy the day. And I've let's just put it this way. I've sacrificed a lot over the last 4 years in order to stack, probably more so than anybody would recommend. If one day I come out with a book for all the stupid shit I did to stack sats, I think people would be like, "This guy is fucking insane. This is was all terrible ideas." But I'll be right. I'll be right. Eventually, you just got to take a step back and say, "I want to enjoy a little bit of my time." And the other thing is like I couldn't have bought a PS5 or any games before, like when I was my fiat self, because I couldn't afford it. And when you can't afford something and you buy it anyways, then it leaves you with this like gross feeling when you're playing it because you just feel like, oh, I'm broke. I'm a broke loser. I'm such a fucking, I can't afford this shit. I spent my whole month saving up for this fucking game. But I remember listening to something and I thought it was insane at the time, but they're like, what I do is if I can't buy 50 of something, I don't buy it. And I'm like, that's crazy, man. Nobody can afford 50 of whatever. But you think about it, it's like, okay, what about a chocolate bar? If you have $50 in the bank, you can buy 50
Yeah.
chocolate bars, buy yourself a fucking chocolate bar. But a PS5 is $500, 700, whatever, 1.2 million sats, man. It's like, that'd be crazy, dude. I'm not going to out my stack, and I'm not there yet. But like when you get to a point where it doesn't hurt your pocket so much and you get to buy something, then you get to enjoy it way fucking more. And that's true for time too, right? It's like when you can afford to take time off, you're going to enjoy that time off more. If you're taking a vacation, but you're sacrificing a week's worth of work and you're going to be struggling to pay the bills, you're not going to enjoy that vacation. I know from experience because I fucking did it. Now, when I take time off and I take a week off and I know that my bills are paid for the next month, you know how much better that feels? Like the
Yeah.
freedom that Bitcoin gives you to just have that sense of, I don't know, relief, I guess. And,
Yeah.
like I'm not trying to say money buys happiness and Bitcoin's going to make you rich so you don't have to give a fuck. No, 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 no. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is peace of mind from having savings is a way better way to live than being a broke fucking fiat loser that's always miserable and depressed all the time.
I love that rant. If PS5, I hope you get it. I mean, the way you described it, I'll be honest. For me, like it's so like bland. I prefer the PS4, but for you, I hope you buy
It's
it.
been
And
out like how long has the PS5 been out for forever now, dude? But the other benefit is that all the games I want to play have come way down in price. Like I don't know what your style of games are, but like I still haven't played The Last of Us 2, Spider-Man, the new Ratchet, fucking Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, Final Fantasy 16. I don't know. I can rhyme off a few more, but like they came out like 4 fucking years ago. And what happens with games is the price goes way down, which is sweet, right? So when I go to buy the games, they're going to be $30 Canadian dollars, which will be equivalent to what is that? 100? No, it'll be 30,000 sats for a fucking game, dude. No, less
It's
than
all
that.
about
Be
time
10,000
preference.
10,000 sats for a game.
Yeah.
I'll take that deal. That's my price.
It's all about time preference, and that's the way to do it. And I can't, we can't end this without you even disclosing some of the stupid things you've done to stack sats. I mean, can you disclose anything? Because I'd love to hear it. It sounds like you must have done some crazy shit.
Okay, I moved to Alberta. I drove around on a car that had absolutely zero tread for the first winter I was here. It was extremely stupid, but I didn't want to buy winter tires. And I was slipping and sliding all over the place for the entire winter. Like in Ontario, communist Ontario, at least they go out and they salt the roads and you can kind of get by. Here it's like everybody's got a fucking truck. So they put like some sand on there and they're like, all right, go get her. So I was hoping that I'd make it through, and it was dangerous. It was really bad idea. Right now, I have tape on my window because the mechanism that puts the window up and down is broken, so I just have it taped up. That's just vehicle stuff. What else have I done? I
My
don't know,
car's
man. Give me
23
a
years
sec.
old. Actually, as of next month, it's going to be 23
Yeah,
years
this is
old.
an '08. I think you
Yeah.
need if you don't have a vehicle that's older than Bitcoin, then you're short Bitcoin.
Well, no, I don't want to go as far as that. But yeah, I mean, for me, I've come to a point a vehicle is just getting from A to B, and you just want to get there as cheap, efficiently, and as safely as possible. You want to repeat that process as much. So,
Yeah,
sometimes an old car just won't do it because of reliability, but yeah,
yeah.
it is what it is. But I also want to ask you too, are you into home mining at all? Have you dabbled in it without going too far into this topic?
I'm a BitAxer. I'm a BitAx bro.
Yes. Yes, that's what I wanted to get at. Yes.
And
What are your thoughts on the
yeah,
BitAx?
dude. So I'm anti like everything, every little trinket and bullshit thing that comes out Bitcoin. I don't buy anything. But when the BitX came out, I actually have another episode on my show. I'm sure I fucking did this years ago, and I said there's gonna be a device that comes out. I basically explained to BitX. I said there's gonna be a device that comes out that costs basically nothing to run, but you'll be able to pump out hashes, and people will just run it for the fuck of it because they want to decentralize the network, the mining, right? And then I saw the BitX. I'm like, motherfucker, these guys did it. And so again, this is the other thing, right? Going back to like the easiness, like how easy is a BitAx? Like I'm fucking stupid with a lot of tech stuff, Like that's the other thing. I used to be up and up on everything. I was a hardcore gamer. I could fucking program a computer and do all this shit. And then a couple of years goes by, and technology has gone so far that I feel like I'm a newborn in the world of technology. But with the BitAx, it's like I figured it out, man. I felt good. It's just, and pretty much anybody can figure it out. And I was excited. If I ever find a block, I'll be happy. I'm not doing the pool mining. I'm just solo mining. I'm not in it for. I'm not in it for 40 sats a day. I'm in it, you know, all in. Baby, give me that 3.125, or give me just let me decentralize the hash. It makes me happy.
I love
I
that
feel like,
thinking.
yeah. I mean, it just makes me feel. It feels cool, and also BitAxes look cool as shit. This is probably another time preference thing, dude, because like I sold all like I don't know. You can collect like fucking gamer fucking memorabilia, little fucking figures and whatever. I had all that shit, sold all that shit, right? And then for the 3 years, I was like, anything I looked at that was just not food, water, air, shelter, I'd be like, why the fuck would anybody spend money on this? So my BitX was my first dip in the toe into buying something that was just for me. So I guess I lied a little bit when I said I haven't bought anything for me. I bought my BitX for me, and now look at me. I'm a degen that's going to buy a PS5. So maybe it wasn't a good idea. But
I think you've earned it. You sacrificed a lot to get to this point. So when it comes time for you to buy the PS5, whenever that may be, I think you owe it to yourself to do that. I mean, it's not just work and that's it. There's more to life than that. And so eventually you're going to have to start either spending some of your Bitcoin or some of your fiat that you would have potentially directed towards Bitcoin for
yeah,
yourself.
yeah, that's what it'll be.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what I'll be
fine.
doing.
And I hope you enjoy it far more than I do. And I'm not trying to downplay the PS5. I just find this current generation of consoles to be not except for the Switch. I like the Switch.
Yeah,
I
I've been
just find it
playing.
just the Switch is raw. It's amazing. I love the Switch. Great
Still crushing it, yeah,
syndication.
man. I got to Switch.
Yeah, I mean, Breath of the Wild.
Do you have any? Do you have kids, Lynn? I don't know if you have kids. I have a
Yeah,
6-year-old boy, so we've been playing the Switch for many years.
yeah.
We
This is
have
my
fun with
daughter's
that.
Goomba. This is
Oh,
hers.
right on, right on.
It's not for me. It
That's
was hers.
badass.
So yeah. So
Okay.
she loves the Mario games and all that, and I think I like them more better than. So I mean, I guess one last question before we sign up. Then, favorite game that you like to play?
Favorite game of all time?
Yeah, want to hear it.
It's Final Fantasy X, I think.
Have you
It
ever
was an
watched? Go ahead.
reason being is just an epic story. It was my first big RPG I played as a kid, aside from Pokemon. So Pokemon's probably up there too. But that was the game that I realized, like, oh, there's stories to be told here. And that's the other reason I want the PS5, right? It's like I'm kind of sick of movies and fucking TV shows. I can't watch any movies or TV shows. With games, like good ones that have good stories, you can really get involved and watch character development and all that shit. So it's much more enjoyable. And Final Fantasy X was the first one that did that for me. So it's got a very special place in my heart, I guess you would
You ever
say.
watch the Spoonie Experiment?
No, what's that?
Check it out. Spoonie did a review of Final Fantasy X, and he he absolutely like ripped it to shreds. You being a fan, you
Okay.
might like it. He's really good at giving reviews and stuff. And it's like you may think, oh, it's
Okay.
been done 1,000 times. This guy was one of the OGs to have done it, and he's gone off his rocker, and he's totally nuts now. He hasn't done anything for about a decade, but his stuff that he
Okay.
did put out some 15 or so years ago, including this Final Fantasy X review, are fucking magnificent. Spoonie
Send me the
Experiment.
link. I'll watch it tonight. Yeah, send me
Fuck,
the link. I'll watch it tonight.
you will enjoy it. So anybody out there checking them out too, he does a lot of good stuff, or did a lot of good stuff. I wish he comes back
Nice.
to doing what he did. Anyways, Goomba, buddy, I think this is time to call our quits. We've been at this for a little over 50 minutes. Any final words? Any last thing you want to get off your chest?
Yeah, anybody listening, if you're still on the edge or you're still trying to think whether you should learn more about Bitcoin, you should, because if you don't, you're fucked. Buy as much Bitcoin as you can before the end of the world. That's what I tell people.
Appreciate you coming on, Goomba, taking the time out of your busy schedule. You'd be stacking sats if you weren't doing this. So I appreciate you doing this. So we'll have you come on
Much
again
love,
if you're
brother.
willing. Yeah, man. This has been awesome. So with that, we'll be back at this on Monday, doing the regular CBP episode on Monday evening. But Joey's not here. He is going to be a new dad. I'm not sure if you heard
Oh,
that
is the
too,
baby
bud.
here? Yeah,
Not
yeah, I've
quite
been
yet.
following.
It's
Okay.
Friday is the date where it's going to come out for sure. Could be between now and
Oh,
then,
dude.
but she's
That's so
expected to go
exciting.
for a C-section on Friday. So because of that,
I
Joey's not going to be around.
So I actually was having a few drinks one night. I DM'd Joey. I was listening to you guys' show, and I was like, Joey, you got to get your fucking shit together and make some babies, dude. And he's like, bro, I got one on the way. I was like, no fucking way. So it was
Yeah,
pretty
there's one in
sweet.
the oven. Yeah,
Yeah.
so he's going to be a new dad as of Friday. So I'll be at
Oh yeah.
this doing this solo, but not solo. I'm going to have somebody with me, guest hosts on Mondays. So this will be fun. But Goomba, buddy, appreciate you coming on.
Peace and love. Keep up the good work, Glenn. Thanks, man.